Welcome to part 3 of our course on digital language learning. My name is Julia Ryberg, and this part is about the methodologies we can use to help learners acquire a new language digitally. The methodologies covered in this tutorial are suitable for web-based blended language learning. To learn about other aspects of blended learning, please view part 1 and 2 of this course. The learning objective today is to inform about methodologies useful for digital language learning in the blended learning environment. For those of you who are not yet familiar with the term, blended learning is a scenario where you use technology in the classroom. The learning goal is to identify 5 methodologies that support digital language learning in the classroom. The methodologies which I would like to talk about today are based on CALL principles. CALL stands for Computer Assisted Language Learning. According to these principles, language learning happens by doing, which refers to learning based on tasks, not theory, by input, which is learning by triggers and examples, by awareness, by which we mean learning by feedback and self-evaluation, by individualization, meaning learning by individualized content, and by authenticity, which is learning by exposure. So let's look at them one by one. We start with learning by doing. As mentioned, learning by doing is based on tasks, which is why technical functionalities are an excellent way to enforce such a methodology. Examples of such functionalities are interactive quizzes, like multiple choice or gap filling, matching, sequencing, crosswords, games and simulations, writing, web quests, and publishing. The examples provided here, taken from left to right, they show a gap fill exercise on prepositions, in which a short introduction is followed by an instruction, a picture, a text, and a gap fill. In the middle, you see a matching exercise about the vocabulary tied to the fastest man on the planet, Usain Bolt. Again, we have a short introduction, an instruction, and then pictures that need to be matched with the words they represent. To the right, we have a crossword puzzle with focus words from a text about family values. Moving along, learning by input is about using triggers and examples to facilitate language learning. The idea is to provide different forms of modified input to resolve misconceptions and allow comprehension and prompt learning. Examples of such input are definitions, examples, translations, images, video, and audio. So let's look at some examples. The examples here show, in clockwork order, the use of integrated technical functionalities, such an inspirational video clip offered alongside a factual text on Lewis Carroll, a text excerpt to depict rules for using an American drive-thru restaurant, a multiple choice quiz, an online dictionary, a fact box listing some of Jonathan Swift's greatest works, a translation exercise, a picture illustrating a storyline exercise about zombies, as well as an audio file and an ebook. All of these functionalities are excellent ways to give modified input. Now, learning by awareness is about using feedback and self-evaluation. In the graphic presented, the language error is followed by a response, the feedback, which allows the language learner to notice knowledge gaps and correct their language production. So, if I use a word incorrectly and then someone points out my doing so, I will then become aware of it and correct myself. The examples you see here are 2 feedback exercises. Both are examples of peer feedback in which students are encouraged to offer constructive criticism on their classmates' work, which is then used to review and revise the work before submitting it to the teacher. In the example to the left, students have written a letter to Mr. Ripley from Ripley's Believe It or Not, and they sit in groups of 4 to read out and talk about their letters. These are then to be revised according to the feedback. In the examples to the right, students have created a poster in trios, and they talk about their works in group of 6. They then get a chance to redo and improve their posters. Learning by individualization is about providing functionalities that help to individualize the learning content. This may be done by scaffolding, organizing, compensating, and differentiating. The 2 examples provided here show, from left to right, the use of texts and glossaries tied to the Guinness Book of World Records and a divided learning path. The texts and glossaries in the example to the left, they are differentiated by language proficiency. In the example to the right, students are given the possibility to choose a track in order to pick a direction in a unit plan about 2 American cities. Last but not least, we have learning by authenticity. This is about utilizing meaningful and relevant content to motivate language learners. For example, a high school student may be presented with a glossary and phrases to research and present the music festival, while an adult learner may be asked to use keywords to navigate a job search site. It really is about offering authentic material that triggers the interest of the learner. In these 2 examples of learning by authenticity, we see to the left the use of a picture showing a modern elementary classroom in a text that introduces school-related words and phrases to that particular age group. These are of course relevant to know for the learners in question. The example to the right is a video clip again showing a member of the same age group talking about common prejudices. As we are concluding this tutorial on web-based language learning in the classroom, I want to point out that technology-based language learning is not effective because of the technology itself. It is effective because of how we use it and for what purposes. In a blended learning environment, we use technology as tutor for skill practice and as a tool for researching, writing, and presenting knowledge. At the same time, we use the teacher and peers for face-to-face interaction and individualized feedback. Both have to come together to make the learning process happen. So, let's recap. To create materials for digital language learning, you need to identify the methodologies you want to employ and figure out the technical functions that support these. Successful methodologies for teaching a foreign language digitally in the classroom are by doing, by input, by awareness, by individualization, and by authenticity. Interactive technical functions that support these methodologies, they are quizzes such as multiple choice, gap filling, matching, and sequencing, crossword puzzles, games and simulations, writing and word processing, web quests, and online publishing. Thank you for watching and happy teaching!